We spend our entire lives thinking that we are something that we're not. So in this video, I want to discuss the nature of what we really are and teach you how you can begin the process of learning how to get in touch with your true self. This is probably one of the most important things you can ever do in your entire life. So please continue watching. Before we get into the video, if at any point you find that this information is helpful, then please like and subscribe so this message can reach more people who might also benefit from watching. The distraction of illusion. Our illusions and us being distracted by them are what pull our awareness into a state of suffering. There are three different ways that we can become distracted. Our thinking, our feelings, and basically anything that's happening outside in the world around us. When we become distracted by our thoughts, we completely lose sight of our true nature. This is also true when we become distracted by our feelings and when we become totally immersed and distracted by the outside world. So in order to begin to start to realize who you are, or more correctly, what you are, you need to start to pay attention to the entity that is experiencing all of this, that is experiencing the thoughts, that is the one experiencing the feelings, that is the one experiencing all of the things around you. That is you. You are not your thinking, you are not your feelings, and you are definitely not anything that you think is happening to you or that you're experiencing. You are simply the one that is watching all of it. You are the one that is aware that all of it is happening. The silent watcher. Have you ever watched your thoughts? Have you ever watched where they go and where they take you? All thinking is inherently resistant. So anytime you become absorbed in thinking, you have completely lost sight of who you really are, or more correctly, what you really are. What you are and what all of us are and what everything is this beautiful, loving, pure awareness, this consciousness that is watching everything. To use the analogy that is used time and time again to describe awareness, you can think of yourself as sitting on a couch watching a movie. And all of the things and contents that you're watching on this movie screen can become very distracting, to the point that you become so immersed in the story of this movie that you feel like you're in the movie. You're a character in the movie. And you've completely lost sight of the fact that you're sitting in a movie theater or on your couch watching this movie. And this is very similar to life. Life can become so distracting. Our senses, our taste, our touch, our smell, our feeling, our emotions, our thoughts, the events that are happening to us in our lives and to others that we love, all of those things become so distracting that we completely lose sight of what it is that we actually are, which is the one that is witnessing all of that. You cannot be those things because you're the one witnessing all of it. Being of service. In spiritual communities, you hear a lot about being of service. What does that actually mean? When we're of service, we're typically thinking that it's being of service to our community. And then there's, of course, being of service to yourself. But the only way that you can ever really be of service to yourself or to anyone or anything around you, you need to be able to be aware of this understanding from an experiential standpoint of what it is that you actually are. Because until you realize that, your ability to tap into that unlimited understanding, that all-powerful knowing, that divinity that is you, until you are able to tap into that, your ability to be of service is going to be extremely limited. So that's why this is the most important thing to your spiritual growth and to actually everyone's spiritual growth around you, is to begin to tap into what you are. And I say what because it's much more appropriate to say what than who. So think of yourself more as a what. and really begin to watch and notice. This is why it's so prevalent to teach witness consciousness, because when you stay in that place of stepping back, falling back into yourself, into your true self, and becoming the witness, that is when you start to see that you have just simply been distracted this whole time by the things that you thought were you, i.e. your body, your thinking, your feelings, your outer world. None of those things are you. None of them. So it's very important that we start to realize that we are something completely different than we thought that we were. And when you do this, then you can be of service. Then you begin to tap into something else entirely. You tap into this limitless, eternal nature that is so incredibly wise. And that is when you really begin to help other people and yourself. I cannot emphasize this enough. In order for you to go through this process of becoming aware of what it is that you actually are, you need to practice it. It's not just going to happen of its own accord. You need to start every single moment of every single day, and yes, I did just say that, to become aware of what it is that you are. And you do this by setting the intention at the beginning of the day, and then review how you did at the end of the day before you go to sleep. These are very suggestible periods of your day. So it's important that you set your intention then. It's when you become the most successful. So begin by waking up and saying to yourself that today I am going to sit in that seat of awareness, in that seat of witness consciousness. I am going to decree that I am going to be the witness today, all throughout the day. Because your spiritual practice is only as good as you are able to remember. 99% of having a spiritual practice is applying and remembering all of these things that you've learned. Because if you don't apply them, then what good is it? You're not really going to make any progress without applying them. It's really important also to remember that if you forget throughout the day, not to be hard on yourself. It's okay that you've forgotten. Approach it with a sense of amusement and say, oh, I forgot. Okay, but I remembered now. And isn't that wonderful? It's wonderful that I remembered now, that I remember to sit in that seat of witnessing. And the beautiful thing about this that I've discovered is that this works wonders when you are in pain. If you are going through a deep amount of grief or pain or physical pain, any kind of pain, whatever your suffering may be, that is the best time to practice witness consciousness. Because in reality, in truth, your true self does not have any problems. That bears repeating. Your true self does not have any problems. It is the one witnessing everything that is happening to you. It, in and of itself, doesn't have a problem. It is formless. It is infinite. It is boundless. It is limitless. It has no problems. So this is why when you get in touch with that part of yourself, you are going to be a different being. Because right now, most likely, you are identifying with a personal egoic self, with a body, with your feelings, with your thoughts, with the events and circumstances that are happening to you in your life. But in reality, you are none of those things. And in order to become self-realized, practicing this understanding of falling back into that witness consciousness is the key to your liberation. I love you all so much. Until next week, I hope you have a beautiful witness consciousness inspired week where you're able to truly practice this and begin to discover the beauty and the truth of what you are.